We're gonna talk about MBA application. That's right, your girl has gone through it all in 2022. A lot of my international friends in the US are expecting the H-1B CAP lottery result to come out, and there's just like a lot of anxiety around employment in the US. A lot more friends have been asking me about MBA and who is eligible to go, so I thought I'd make a video. Let's start with, I guess, my background story. I was born and raised in Beijing, China, did not go to international school, came to the US for college. I went to Tufts University, and afterwards I worked in tech industry for the last 2.5 years, first in Boston, and this past year moved to San Francisco for my second job. I worked primarily in data analytics. Oh, important piece of information. I am going to Wharton for my MBA this coming summer. I actually just got back from meeting some of my future classmates. There's just so many cool people, and I really just can't wait for my program to start. First question that everyone asks is like, am I still in time to apply? So I thought I would share a little bit about the timeline that I personally went through. I made up my mind to apply for business school in fall 2021. Upon deciding that, I started studying for GMAT. So standardized testing is the one hurdle that you absolutely have to go through, and it's something that's pretty formidable for a lot of applicants. For MBA, you could take either GRE, GMAT, or EA. I'm personally not very sure about what EA is, so you can certainly look into that, but for me and a lot of my peers, is a decision between GRE and GMAT. I personally have taken both and ended up using both of my scores, even though I took GRE back in undergrad, and GMAT I studied while I was working. The two major difference, I would say, is first off, the math is a little bit more demanding for GMAT. Secondly, I would say there's something different about the verbal reasoning portion of things. It puts more emphasis on vocab, so you need to understand vocabulary a little bit more. You need to probably like memorize a lot of big hard words. But for GMAT, it's more about logic and reading comprehension. It's a little bit more abstract, which ended up being a lot more challenging for me. I feel like in retrospect, I might have done a little bit better in GRE, but according to the score I got from the two tests, it's pretty similar. Advice for y'all who is debating GRE versus GMAT is to take a mock quiz. So from that, you can kind of get a starting point on what the questions were like on each test and what form are you more comfortable with. And what is a good test score for like M7 program? Oh, here are the M7 school. My goal score was 750. But when it comes to standardized testing, you're not really competing with the whole pool of applicants. You're actually competing with your own demographic. I took my first GMAT in January 2022, got a 700. Studied real hard for 3 more months, took it in, I think, April, and got a 730. So I was consulting all my mentors who've gone to business school on whether this is a solid score. Like, should I stop there? So all my mentors who are not Asian were like, girl, this is a great score, congratulations. You can just sit back and prepare the rest of your application. And all my other mentors who are Chinese international students, specifically, they're like, you still have time, right? I would recommend you to try again just to be safe. It's such a sheer contrast, it's actually hilarious. For example, for HBS, the median GMAT score is 730, which is why people are like 750 is a safe score for Asian students. But for Black student or Latinx students, 710 is probably a solid score already. That's just the information I was given, so I just kind of want to share that that's the general, like, I guess, perception score-wise. Obviously, your standardized testing is not the only thing that determines your admission. In fact, it probably only takes up 20 to 25% of whether they admit you. It's more like a bar. And once you hit a certain point, it's the rest of your application that make you stand out. Back to my timeline. So basically, from the fall of 2021 to the spring of 2022, GMAT was the only thing that's on my mind. And meanwhile, I was doing score research and talking to a bunch of alums and current students at the MBA program that I'm interested in. I think it's actually super important not only just for you to name drop in your application, but also you get a pretty good sense talking to current student whether you would get the resource and network that you need going into those programs. For example, for me, going into media entertainment is a pretty niche direction for MBA students. From my conversation, I kind of got a hunch that school in Southern California like UCLA and USC has a really great pipeline for entertainment space recruiting versus school like MIT is a really good school if you want to work in tech or bioscience or entrepreneurship. But if you are going into film and media, it might not give you the support you need, and it's like far from the industry hub like Hollywood. I think the preliminary research is something that you need to do yourself, and it's something that's pretty crucial to the later success in your application. From May, I started to think about essays, think about what school I'm applying for, which are match. I was also starting a new job during that time and moving across the country. At the end of the day, I still stuck around, applied round 1. So for MBA, there are usually 3 rounds application. There are some schools that offer round 4, but I don't think anyone would recommend applying that late. Usually round 1 is the most preferable if you're well prepared, and it's more like I think it's comparable to early admission in college admission. So it's not binding, but it gives you a little bit of edge. Given that you're ready to apply, meaning that your job is in a good place, you have good test scores already, then you should apply round 1 to at least all your dream schools. Maybe apply for some more match and safety school in round 2. At least that's my strategy. I applied for 5 of the M7 schools that I really liked. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing that summer, writing essays. Of all of the application essays that I submitted, I make sure to have at least one current student or alum to look at them. In terms of the storyline and narrative, the why schools, that's where your preliminary research and all your alumni connection will come in really handy. I feel like for my written essays especially, I received really helpful feedback like 1 week before I submitted. Interviews. So each school has very different interview styles. I'm just only going to expand on word interview. It's so unique. It's called a team-based discussion. So you're in a group interview with 5 or 6 students and 2 student interviewers. And it's basically like a social psychology study where you are the participant and your interviewer, they're just there to observe how you discuss and cooperate as a group. I've never been to an interview like that, and it was probably the most intimidating one going in, but the most fun interview I've ever had. So I got all 3 of my interviews in October and early November. And for round 1, decision came out before Christmas and after Thanksgiving. Oh, I guess another thing that I forgot to mention is that I actually participated in a pre-MBA program. So the program I joined was Forte MBA launch for women in business. It's like a month of them having structured event, meetup. You get assigned into a little co-work group based on your geographic location. So I ended up meeting up with a lot of girls in Boston or New England area who are thinking about MBA, and made a couple of really good friends. Especially for me, coming from tech industry, where going to MBA is not that commonplace of a thing. Even though my team and my manager want to be supportive, they have not gone to business school, like versus if you're in finance or consulting, there are a lot more people in your company who have gone through that. So it's a little bit more understood on how do you do it. You know, you have more people to talk to, or just for me, I don't know anybody that's a first degree connection who went to business school. Having a pre-MBA program, they ask for speakers and mission officers, they have a spring forum. Just having access to all the information was really helpful. And there are other programs out there. MLK and Consortium are the 2 of the most recognized one too, focusing on supporting Black, Latinx, and Native American communities. Honestly, there's so much to talk about in each phase of the application process. If there's more interest, I'm really down to talk about it more because it's been such a emotionally taxing and enlightening process. Drop me any question you have about MBA application, applying as an international student, anything and everything. Happy to help. All right, I'm signing off. Bye.